Hey, everybody. This is going to be a new segment. I'm starting with Ish. For those of you who watched him on the Bangladeshi episode, his name's Ish Tak. Me and him talk pretty much every day, I would think, at this point, right?
Yeah,
We
we're
converse at
brothers.
some point.
We're brothers.
Um, yeah, he's my brother from another motherland.
Yes.
And so I've been floating around an idea about starting like a new segment of the podcast and bringing him along, kind of, the whole two co-host type deal. So we're going to call this the Red-ish podcast or Reddish segment, if you will. This is the first one. Is very impromptu. We had planned on doing it more like, well, we had planned on actually planning it. And this was, you're about to find out why this just sort of happened. Emotions are running high, at least on my side, for sure.
Yeah.
But so we're in this Discord, and you get people, man. Like, we're in this Discord that's supposed to be about free speech and saying stuff that doesn't necessarily get said a lot. Like, somebody hold it back, right? Like, you want to say something, but it's not politically correct or whatever. This server, say what needs saying, shout out to Zach and Brandon for it, gives those people a platform to not be worried about it. Because of that, though, you get people with some, granted, it is our opinion, very backwards and fucked up ideas. Let's just put it out just like that. Very fucked up. Like, you could go on that server and say, literally anything, and as long as you're not inciting violence or openly insulting people, you can kind of say whatever you want to say, no matter how batshit crazy it is. But you do get those people that we've gotten two now here recently, one more tame than the other, and the more recent one is Ish. You're the more calmed of the two of us. I'll let you describe it in a better way.
I mean, so I'm all for free speech and talking, and we have great conversation. I just want to preface that this is an open platform that Zach and Brandon has hosted, and really appreciative of this. There's not a lot of spaces like this. So yes, because I do think there is a problem of free speech, with whichever political side you're coming from, it is important to be able to voice one's opinions. So what happens as a result of that, you get a lot of dissenting opinions, and that's completely fine. That's how society works, and that should be allowed. No disagreement about that. What happens sometimes is you get dissenting opinions that are so extreme that they're like a wall. You can't fight them, you can't budge against them. Even if you try to talk sense, trying to give opinions, they come back about, oh, you're attacking me personally, or things like that. And that is actually a problem for civil discourse. That's a problem for any civil discussion. And so this particular conversation was about white nationalism, or having an ethnostate in general. And there's, like, these people have some rational points, they have some logical points regarding whatever they're talking about. And again, I'm against white nationalism. I believe you are as well. So I just want to make that clear, that none of this should get misinterpreted.
Very true.
But some of the rhetoric behind that, which I just found hateful or violent, that was the problem.
Yeah.
And I guess this is part of what we were going to talk about as part of this Red-ish segment, is diversity, or what the benefit of having people of different thoughts, ideals, mindsets, cultures, food, skin color, you name it. Like, what is the benefit of all of that?
Because we were talking, I think it was last night actually, or the night before, about how like you said, we were going to do it on diversity, because the first individual, the one who was more calm with it, who could state his opinions and whatnot, but wasn't really out to, piss anybody off or anything. It was like, this is what I believe. Here you go. Like it or not, I believe it. Cool. I'm fine with that. Don't have to agree with it. And a lot of us didn't. but he was pretty civil with his discussions, and it was a decent talk with him, even when he chimes in from time to time, even now. But his whole thing, a lot like you said, he was for the all white nation essentially, and granted, in the server, I'm easily more of like the jokester because I don't take a lot of things serious. That's why I live a pretty stress-free life, thankfully. I joke around. I like to joke. I like to make people laugh. Sometimes, I'll make a crack at somebody you could call it an attack, if you will. But because of that server and the rules, I kind of have to watch what I say, which is why I made that little channel on mine to kind of say whatever the hell you want. But like we were talking, a whole white nation just, like, be honest, boring. It makes no sense. And we were thinking of, we were going to do more in-depth research before officially doing an episode on diversity and all the ways that it works, whether it be, like we mentioned before, cooking, you put all the spices from all over the world and makes your meal better. Or, anytime like you're working on a problem and you're stuck on it, you've been stuck on the same problem for days or weeks. And then somebody comes behind you and says, well, have you looked at it this way? You know, that's in itself is a form, I guess, like a loose form, but still a form of diversity. Even if he was to say, even if he was a white person, I was like, I stuck with the problem. It's a different set of eyes. So now I'm able to see, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm able to see the issue with whatever that problem was, and now I can figure that problem out. Or like with music, especially music.
Yeah.
And you were sharing some music on my server just earlier today. I love it all, unless it's country, for obvious reasons. A
I like
lot of
country, so that's different.
yeah. See, I mean, like I like Johnny Cash, but that's pretty much as far as it goes.
Sugarland is pretty good, so I like Sugarland. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, this is part of.
I'll say also, I've never really heard them. I know the band, never really heard the music. So who really knows? I don't.
And so this is part of diversity. This dialogue that we're having now, we are having different music tastes.
Yep.
Every person has different music tastes. And the thing that you mentioned, food, things, and not even that. I think we need to establish that diversity is a principle of life. It's a principle
And
of
growth.
And exactly, and how the universe is set up. So if you start with very like the Big Bang and evolution itself, evolution of life or Big Bang, these were set up on principles of what's called entropy or chaos. So they're built on this physics principle that increase diversity. And even evolution, if you look at it, we started off from the one bacteria or what microbes or whatnot. Why didn't it just stay that way? Like it could have just stayed that for millions of years. Why did it change into these hundreds of thousands of species? And what you realize is, okay, it's actually beneficial to create all these different species so that there can be interaction. And not only that, for food, not only in terms of like predator and prey, but also in terms of maintaining biodiversity, because there's a trees there, there's a habitat for all these animals. And that allows for flourishing of nature. So it's a built principle. And since humans are part of evolution, we are built to prefer diversity. So I just want to establish that this is a innate thing for us. And so we are automatically drawn to, and if you looked at all of human society, the way culture and history has been built, it's all about cultural communication and cultural. So that's why I don't think, so there's two perspectives, right, on two sides. So there's one side that says, oh, we should all be in isolation, like we should all have our own like identity or whatnot, ethnostate, whatever you call it. And then the other side is like, oh, cultural appropriation or like things like that. Right. These are both ideals that are not allowing for diversity, like they're not allowing for cultural appropriation, saying, oh, like you can't trip on anyone else's culture. And then this isolationist is saying, oh, we need to preserve everything. So both are not allowing for natural human tendencies. That's my point, is that you put the morality aside. You put that it's actually bad. we'll talk about that, why it's just that. That because it's immoral in the sense that it inevitably causes violence. That's the
Right.
other.
It tends to lead one to think they're better than
Ex-
another.
exactly.
And you mentioned animals and whatnot, and how we evolved and whatnot. Whether you like it, we are part of the animal kingdom. We are humans. We might be better, far, or more evolved because we have a conscience and we're aware of that conscience, whatever that is. That's a whole another episode as well. But we're aware of life and death, whereas other animals, it's probably debatable. I'm sure some people say they can, especially if you get into like the veganism people and Pete and all that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's another whole different thing. But we are animals. We are part of the animal kingdom. And when you look at the animal kingdom, like let's just say, look at any type of rainforest, any type of anything, you got predators and prey. You got like the tiger. The tiger feeds on whatever the hell the tiger feeds on. If
Yeah.
you were to take this type of, well, I don't even know what you call it, what's the word?
Ethnostate. Yeah, yeah. Ethnostate. Yeah.
Ethnostate. Again, I'm the stupid one in that group.
Oh,
If you
no,
take that,
no,
I am. Let's be honest, but I'm cool with it. If you take that ethnostate and apply it to the animal kingdom, everything would go extinct.
oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like if you
Mm.
separate just tigers, and just tigers can be with tigers, well, what are they going to eat? I mean, yeah, they're going to eventually eat themselves because
Yep.
hunger. You get your survival of the fittest. You got to eat somehow. But
Yeah.
at some point, there's going to be no more. And then you can say, well, that's animals and blah, 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 that we're better than they are. We're still animals, though. We still have animalistic instincts. We still have, bits of rage and stuff that have followed us through, our days of being cave people. We still have that little bit of us, of that left in us. So you can say, that's them. We're different. When it comes down to it, we still got it too. And just like that, you need it. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. In any, you could literally apply this to just about anything besides the that one used to thing of the Play-Doh, which was funny. I will say the funny was how he had this meme for those who are listening or watching of like different cans of Play-Doh and all different colors and said, what do you have? A diversity, right?
Yeah.
And so it looked cool, like a whole bunch of different cans of Play-Doh, diversity. Then you had them all mixed together and it was brown. It was like
Yeah.
multiculturalism. And I was like, I mean, that's funny. I'm sorry. But then
It is.
that's why I
Yeah.
retorted with the whole, because he was the white nationalist guy. I retorted with, a slab of just plain old chicken breast, white nation. And then I put like I don't even know, like a little chicken roast or whatever with potatoes, beets, and I would probably never eat that meal actually, but it looked good. And
Yeah.
you would probably love eating that, whatever it was, right? And that's multiculturalism, everything from everywhere. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. The other example I came up with that I mentioned was like investments in stocks and whatnot. Anytime you talk to an investment person, they recommend diversifying, put
Yep.
a little money here and there and there. That way, so if you put everything into one and that thing goes down, well, shit, you're broke now, or even in the negative sometimes. But if you put it everywhere, there's a chance you can grow faster, it's safer, better fitting for the long term because it works. Diversity in so many forms and fashion work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And the actually the meme, it was really funny.
It's
But
hilarious.
I gotta disagree with that meme. It's actually not how multiculturalism works, because
Right.
you
Oh,
people
yeah.
still, yeah, people still are variable. You can still see people's identities in them.
Yes.
Not about skin color only. It's about choice of music. It's about choice of food. It's about ideas, political beliefs,
Right.
what movie you want to watch, how you believe you should treat your kids, how you should treat
Mhm.
your community. You're going to still see that. It's not going to be like the way that it's described, like, oh, everyone's going to be a
Yeah.
light shade of brown. Like, that's not going to be like ginger aren't going to get extinct. You will see ginger traits pop up.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
That, so so yeah, gingers are gonna like you'll see different traits pop up. So
Mhm.
it's not like it's nowhere in history has ever like people just gone extinct of a particular type, like of a particular skin color. Like that
Yeah,
hasn't
definitely not
happened.
skin color. I think
Yeah,
if anything, you could maybe say like tribes, like in tribal Africa, possibly, or even South
yeah,
America.
yeah,
But
exactly.
that's still, I don't think that counts.
Yeah,
One, that's
yeah.
horrible for sure.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and one could actually argue, like if you look at the ones that are like that now, that are stuck in their ways. I don't want to say stuck in their ways because that has sort of a negative connotation, but like the tribes that are still around, they're getting smaller and smaller. You could
yeah,
argue it's because they are sticking to themselves while the
yeah,
world around is growing and evolving and diverse. Everyone's coming together. They're staying their own way, which, okay, it works for them. I got it. But the numbers of
yeah,
each of them are getting smaller and smaller for a reason. Like that kind of way of life, if you live it, I understand, that's all you know. You're probably not listening to this podcast though, anyways. But there's a reason essentially why that kind of life has died off. Because
yeah,
we're able to connect in ways unimaginable 100 years ago.
yep,
You think of Wi-Fi and internet service and all and telephones and I've spoken to people literally halfway around the world,
yeah,
and I can do it like that. 100 years ago, that's some science fiction novel shit, that was dreamed about possibly, but they had no idea it was ever going to be a thing. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I mean, look at your podcast itself. What is that accomplishing? Like, let's take it in this on the base level. You are
right?
engaging in conversation with people you've never met. You have
Mm-hmm.
never met them in person. You are just reaching out to them, finding them online, whatnot, and then you're just like, hey, let's have a conversation. And the conversation is about literally about culture. It's about how people, and it's not even about their culture. It's about how people live their lives. Like
Yes.
you were asking like the guy from Egypt, like Hamid, you were asking him like what he does and how he lives his life, what he's
Yeah.
studying.
Well, what's because yeah, the life in another country isn't necessarily going to be the life in America. And even if it's close to life in America, life where I am is not the same as life over there. Like you're in America right now, up in
Yeah,
Michigan, correct?
yep,
My
yeah.
everyday life is not the same as your everyday life. Same
Oh, of
exact
course,
country, different
yeah.
spot.
You can't just like put people like trying to homogenize that. You can't just
Yeah.
like think, oh, like we're just gonna make this thing happen out of nowhere. We're gonna
Yeah.
make people believe in one thing. It's just not gonna happen. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's like one of those things, and this is why I like when I mentioned to you, you're basically talking to a brick wall because like you can have that idea, cool. I have my idea of certain people being factory workers for the rest of their lives, but I know in the real world that's not a possibility. That is never going to happen. Not the way I see it. The way my idea of a perfect world is never going to happen. Don't
Yeah,
matter how much time and effort I put into it, that way of life is not possible. So
yeah, yeah,
you can have these ideas and ideals and whatever hell, you can have your perfect paradise. But when you put it in a real world context, nope.
yeah,
Like you're
exactly.
living a dream world. Like,
Yeah,
like you were saying, every white person doesn't think a certain way. Every black, Asian, yada yada, you go on. Not all one race thinks one way. And they
yeah,
never
exactly,
will. They never
exactly, yeah,
ever will.
exactly, yeah. And the good point that you bring up is like, let's say you want a fully, let's take the two extremes. Like one is a
Right.
fully integrated world, everyone is together, everyone's like mixing and living peacefully, harmlessly, and then the other one is like everyone is isolated, right?
Right.
These are two extremes. None of these are going to happen.
Ever.
The reality is the middle. Like, okay,
Yes.
we're living in a diverse society, sure, and then some people will find friends that they relate to. They'll find
Right.
their community through their church or through their mosque or through their whatever, even
Whatever.
communities, even through work. and they will form their whole community.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get, but you'll still be integrated as a country. You'll still be living
Yeah.
next to a person. Your neighbor might be Black, your neighbor might be Asian, your neighbor might be all kinds of things. But that is how things work. That is how life works. It's kind of like, here's how I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna use Southern food as an example. I love Southern food. So
I know.
fried chicken, fried chicken, barbecue, good stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
When you put them on a plate, you put, let's say, your fried chicken, you take your mashed potatoes, you take your beans, whatnot, all these different things. You're not mixing them. You're the way that it's mixing, they still are separate things on your plate. The way you're mixing, you're taking one bite from another, one bite from another one. Maybe you like one more than the other,
Right.
and that is basically how life works, is that
Right.
you're not gonna blend, like you're not gonna take a blender and then put all that and then blend
Yeah.
it and eat that. That's gonna be disgusting.
And if you do, that's that extreme part that
Exactly.
does it. It's not the middle.
Exactly. And then you're also not gonna just like, oh, unless you're a freak, you're not just gonna like eat mashed potatoes only.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
people
even
do.
if they like extreme dieting people, or bodybuilders, they'll eat chicken breast and rice all the time. But that's
Yeah,
what? Two different things. That's chicken breast
yeah,
and that's rice. And I
yeah,
guarantee you they put seasons on that motherfucker.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
You got to make it somehow, because you have your taste buds have different receptors and you're trying out different tastes. So life can't be these like idealistic
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
It
that's
is.
why like yeah, that's why I wonder if those that have those ideals have ever considered what it would be like if it was real, like in a real world, in a modern real world scenario. Because, like we found out today, a lot of times they harken back to old shit that ain't around no more, that failed,
Yep,
failed.
yep.
Just in case you're watching, failed.
I
Zach, you
mean it.
can't ban me off my own damn show. But
Yeah,
it's how it always is, because like the guy was saying, white people, you're your own country essentially, right? So I'm white and I disagree with that. Does that mean I'm kicked out? Why? I'm white. I fit your narrative essentially. Besides, I don't agree with it. Everything else I fit. I'm white, whatever, family, job, all that kind of good shit. The basis of your thing is all white stick together, or this individual's thing is all white stick together. I'm white. I disagree with you. Does that kick me out? So do you go down the list? Do you agree with me? Yay or nay, and kick them out. Because your nation gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then, okay, let's say you have a group. Hell, let's even say a million people. I mean, granted, it probably is about a million that might feel that way, or maybe not feel that way, but if presented with the opportunity, might be like, let me try. So let's go that route. So we have this all white nation of a million people. What do you do? Because one thing I question the first individual is, do you take out anything that's ever been touched by a non-white? It has to be 100% all white all the time. And is that the route you go? All right. Well, if that's the case, then you essentially live with nothing. Your phone is made somewhere over in Asia. Your laptop, my laptop, all this made somewhere else, right? It's not made by a white person, more than likely. And like I mentioned, I'm a lover of rock and roll. The roots of rock and roll come from blues. The roots of blues are not by white people. So you take that out. And I don't know about country, but since some country is pretty sad, and depressing, in my opinion, I'm sure it has a huge root that comes from blues as well. So do you lose your country? Do you lose your country music? Which I'm sure is the only music you'd have left.
yeah. I mean,
You would lose a whole bunch of necessities that have been invented or innovated or at one point touched
yeah,
by someone of another race. How,
yeah.
how do you differentiate what is what? Seems like a
And
very boring life.
yeah, I mean, let's give them that. let's just assume that it works somehow. Let's say it works, okay? But let's just see the ultimate goal. The goal is to have a prosperous society.
Mhm.
I don't think that's going to happen. Humans
Right.
always have conflict because of the fact that you have diversity of opinions and thoughts that results in conflict. This
Right.
is like the what you get because of diversity. You get
Right.
conflict. Now you can't squash diversity to not get conflict. Like it's not going to
Right.
happen because
Right.
you'll still have diversity within any nation you want to build or any
Mhm.
community or any group. You'll still get people who are dissenting who might not agree with that one thought.
Right.
There's always going to be, this is about everything, like every situation you create, whether it be religion, you have different religions, have different sects within them.
Mhm.
And then you have different reformist views and whatnot. Even let's say atheism, there's different ways people view atheism, right? Like not
Yeah.
everyone shares the same way of thinking about no
Right.
God like you do. People have different ways. It's just a product of how things are. Putting a label on that won't change that. This is why I'm a big fan of uh, the individual, like the individual
Yeah.
responsibility, individual thoughts, and that is what we should respect. And there's a great book by Jordan Peterson, who I very respect. It's
Mhm.
12 Rules of Life, and his message is basically like forget about whether you be a conservative or a liberal or whatever your political affiliation might be. Forget about these ideological
Yeah.
traps that he says. Like it's very easy to fall into these traps because we are primed to believe in something. The way to get rid of that is by focusing on yourself, is by
Mhm.
focusing on the individual, focusing on how you can um, better yourself, how you can better your family around you, people close to you, things like that. Forget about this the Democrats are going to solve everything,
Right.
or like this party is going to solve everything. That's not going to ever work. Or just waiting for the government to fix your shit, or like
Right.
having all these like beliefs, they never work. It's idealistic, it sounds nice on paper,
Mhm.
but in reality it just doesn't.
Yeah. It's a very narrow-minded way of seeing the world because I'm more of center left, and I mean I call out the bullshit on both sides as much as I can, but even still, like majority of what they do don't have nothing to do with me. I might agree or disagree with it. I mean, it doesn't really affect me. I mean, granted, yet, there's always that yet. They could put something in play that might do something with my life or whatever. But I disagree or agree with some things that are said by everybody. But at the end of the day, don't really care. My family's good. My son and my wife are okay, and my mom's good. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. You
Yeah,
know.
that at the end of the day, your family is who
Mhm.
looks up to you, and you care for your family. That's basically how life works. So
Yeah, because I know when we were talking about we put the white nation into perspective. My question, I would have loved to have asked, and it would probably go to triggered because I wouldn't doubt if by the time we're done with this, Rebel has been banned. I don't know, but I would love. It would probably be more of a one-on-one conversation to try and get examples of how he sees it. Because would it be something like, again, we're back at the million people, all white nation. Do you keep everything monitored? Like censor anything to do with the outside multicultural world? So, like, if you're raising kids, your son or daughter can't see a Black Power Ranger because there's a Black Power Ranger. Do you keep that away from them? And if so, then what else do you censor? And if you don't censor it, all right, what do you do when they ask questions? What do you do when your son or daughter said, "Hey, Daddy, I like the Red Ranger." Well, then you go look, and Red Ranger's a black guy or an Asian person or anything other than white. What do you do? Do you that shit happens today, and I'm sure there are parents that get upset. But like, what do you do when you like a kid comes across internet and sees like a block party or MTV award show, and so you got the biggest rapper in the world dancing, and he's like, shit, what is that? What is that sound I've never heard? Because that's multicultural. I can't listen to that according to my nation or whatever, what have you. What do you do? Like, how can you ever enforce that in today's world, as connected as we are? Unless like you live, what was that? M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village. Remember that? You
Yeah,
ever seen that movie?
I never seen that movie.
So the base, other movies have done it, but this is the one that I recall. The Village, the base is there's a village in this like forest, right? And it's very old timey. Like they don't have, running water, no electricity, if I remember right. It's very like hunter gatherer type village. So very back in the day. And that's how you're thinking the movie's going. But M. Night always has this twist at the end. The twist is one of the girls escapes or runs through the woods far enough, she gets to a road. So we see that this isn't a family based in like the 16 or 1500s. This is a family living in a village that has secluded itself so much from the outside world that has cars. And so with cars, you're assuming like cities and everything. She's like, what the hell? Because she runs off and a car stops thinking she's a hitchhiker. And then I think it cuts right there, basically. So her whole world has been thinking this one thing that she lives in, like I said, 1500s, whatever the hell type civilization, when the whole time the outside world's in, a 20th century type situation. And it's like, whoa, like a lame ass twist, but is like, that's the only way I could see in today's world, a country like that working in any form. That's the only way. You have to seclude people that much to where they don't know any better. That's the only way, because otherwise you're gonna have so many fucking questions. Daddy, why can't I go play with Shanice up the road or what have you? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the only way. I don't see any other way.
The kids are going to be the one who's going to be asking the questions.
Exactly.
Kids are very nosy. Kids are very nosy. Kids have a lot of good questions. They're very curious. They're going to be the ones asking. So
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a conundrum, but I think the way the world is right now, I just want to point out some good parts of how the world is right now. It's not all like we have a lot of terrible things going on, but around the world, but we are in a better place now than humanity was hundreds of years ago. We have all these advancements in medicine, in healthcare, in economics. People are working more. People have built more wealth across the world, and there are people who are disadvantaged. Don't take it this wrong, but people in general are more advantaged now. And so the way that you're going to improve society is by looking at, okay, we've tried to improve society. It's in a great place, but not at the best place. So how do we improve? You look at what inefficiencies there are, maybe in your economic system or in your politics or whatnot. It's just like running a business. Let's say you are running a small business, maybe Red's Ramblings. Fingers crossed. Hopefully one day it will become a paid business. But let's say you make this a business, you grow it, you have a lot of listenership, you have a lot of cool guests on, like Daryl Davis, you have more famous people on, and that brings you a lot of views. It improves everything. You get more money. Right. That's what you wanted. You get more viewership. Now you're gonna have new problems that are gonna come up. You're gonna have maybe, like Red, I can't like do like all these episodes, or like shit, my video camera like just broke, or like my audio setup just broke. I gotta buy a new one. People constantly have problems. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to fix those problems rather than completely like, I'm gonna like completely change how I'm doing my podcast, or like I'm gonna completely uproot my business and like do something else, like completely change it. Like that's not gonna work. You have a successful thing going on. You gotta look at it from an objective way of how successful it is, and then take out the little parts that are not working and then fix those parts. I think that's the way to approach society. And just to say that, like everything we're doing now is just bad.
Right.
You'll see
Yeah.
people saying this all over the place. I mean, some people are right. Yeah, we have a lot of fucked up shit in our society.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. But the goal is for you to fix that rather than completely change how society works. We live in the most globalized world right now. We cannot, like,
You
it's
can't.
getting
Yeah.
further globalized. Like global, actually, I would argue that part of the reason why we have so much wealth and prosperity is because of that.
For
Is because
oh,
of the fact that this phone that
yes.
I'm using, this like whatever,
What
everything is
phone is that? What phone is that?
uh Pixel 4. We
Yes,
got
sir.
we got a few more. Yeah, so
Google if you want to sponsor us.
exactly, yeah.
We both
Pixel
use your
is a great
phone.
phone, portrait mode, whatnot. Everything is good anyway. So um, yeah, so this is coming because of like there are people in China who are making it. Of course, we can talk about how maybe
Right.
the labor policies and things like that. We can talk about that, but this is coming. This is in everybody's hands because someone from another country produced it. Everything you're doing right now is because of the increased globalization. It has not only this phone not only has improved my life, it has also improved people lives of people who are making it. Of course,
Right.
I have the phone, so there's a lot of problems. I'm constantly stuck to this phone. I'm constantly chatting with people. I'm like, this is taking off time of other things I could do, and it's
Right.
not particularly the best for mental health. Like so.
Yeah.
These are the things that can be improved on, but doesn't mean that I completely need to get rid of my phone. Like that's not how. So I think people need to get away from this way, like one narrow way of thinking that
Mm.
society has to be this way or that way. Like it's not gonna
It's
help
not gonna
solve.
happen.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also diversity is just it's a built principle of how things work. It's just a physical principle. You live in a world that has a lot of like gravity. Like we are gonna be pulled down to the earth no matter what we do. Like
Mm.
we can try to fight it, we can try to do whatever. We're still gonna fall. Everything is that.
Right.
Diversity is like that. It's a principle
It's
that
gonna happen.
it's gonna happen. You can't force it. You can't um, do things. But sure, you might have problems about with certain things going on with diversity. Maybe you have problems with certain maybe crimes in certain
Right.
ways. Yeah, you can solve those, but doesn't mean you need to completely get rid of the diversity. And that's the point.
Yeah, I think the only thing really I could add to that is because I mean, for those that if all you do is focus on negative, then I'm sorry to say, man, like, yeah, you're gonna think life is shit.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all you focus on, man.
Yeah,
But if you look out, like get out from behind the TV and watching Fox News, CNN, whatever the hell you watch, laptop, even the phone, Facebook, YouTube, all that Twitter and shit. If you get out and just go to a park, and then, people's all this, it's so cliche or whatever, but it's fucking true. Get out and, like you were saying, get out, take a look at the world around, talk to a new person, talk to a neighbor that you've lived next to for 5 years but never spoken to. Just live. Just
yeah,
live, man. Just live. And if you are one of those that focuses on the negative and you're able to acknowledge that, if you can acknowledge that you focus on the negative, then you can flip that and focus on positives. If you like puppy, look up fucking puppy shit all day long. Look up cat videos watch comedy all day long. If even if it's just something as simple as that, just get something good instead of always just being depressed and just focusing on everything. The world is shit. The world's always going to be shit. It might be better shit tomorrow. It might be worse shit tomorrow. But it's going to, even if it's very incremental, it's going to get better and better and better. Because, like you said, 100 years ago, we were definitely shit. Now we're still shit, but we're better than 100 years ago shit. It's
yeah,
it's it's gonna happen until an asteroid comes and we're all dead, and which is true shit, or whatever the hell you have.
yeah,
There's no reason to focus solely on the negative and think that, oh, everything's got to change because of a few things are wrong. A few things are always going to be wrong,
yeah,
whether you have it your way or not. Something's going to get fucked up. That's life. they say life's a bitch for a reason because it's true.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, this is a great quote from someone else that I followed, Dave Ramsey. He's a financial money guy, and he says this thing that you are dealt with a bunch of cards in life, and that's what you're dealt with. No matter society can be structured in whatever way, you're dealt with a
right,
set of cards, and you can think, oh, you're completely oppressed or whatnot, and that might be true. Like
right,
society might be organized in a way that is oppressing you, but you got that set of cards dealt with you. You got to deal with that
right,
situation. And your goal in life should be to best pursue how you can deal with that set of cards
right,
rather than going and thinking about how we can deal how other people's cards can be dealt with, or like how other people's cards need to be fixed or whatnot to eventually help you. Like that ain't gonna happen. Like this has been tried before.
right.
uh, just telling, oh, like, oh, my group is going to look after me, or like my community. Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent your family is
Yeah,
going to look after you, your relatives are going to look after you, to a certain extent, yeah. But having this like, oh, the government is going to look after me, or like some state
right,
that I built is going to look after me, like that doesn't work. It's just such a macro scale. It never really works. People are built to look after themselves, their family, their microcosm. Having a macrocosm isn't going to work. It never really works. So,
mhm.
yeah. So,
Man, Ish, I think this was a pretty good start to the Red Ish podcast,
yeah.
or Red Ish segment, if you will. Hopefully, whoever listened or ends up listening enjoys it. I mean, this is still essentially just our Red's ramblings, but I like a lot of Ish's views. I think we've only disagreed on like one or two things,
Yeah.
at least so far, anyways. And even still, it's like, all right, cool. That's you. This is me. Whatever. You know, it's
And
never
what
like
I
you're an idiot. You know, it's never going to be like that.
I think I really appreciate that we can ramble, we can Red's ramblings, we can ramble, we can toss up ideas, we can just have a good discussion, heart to heart discussion about anything. And
Yeah,
uh, yeah, hopefully viewers will see more of this with the
I
Reddish.
think so.
Yeah,
Well, even if they don't want it, I don't care. I like it.
yeah,
So you're going to get
exactly.
more of it regardless. But if you do like it, again, this is going to be episode 1, and it's going to change rapidly, I'm sure, evolving, diversifying, growing, because it works. Um, but if you have any like suggestions and topics, the one thing I was thinking about doing, like this one's, you can kind of just label under diversity, like thinking of a topic and diving into that, pros and cons or whatnot, other people's views and all that kind of shit. But if you out there watching and have enjoyed this and you have an idea or topic that you would like us to talk about or mention at all, let us know. If you haven't subscribed, you need to do that. Like it, all that kind of good shit, right?
Subscribe down below.
Yeah, subscribe down below. And Ish, thank you. As always, I enjoy talking with you. My brother from another motherland. You have yourself a good one, my man.
All right, Fred. I'll talk to you later.
All right.